Okay, if everybody would come on in and take a seat, wherever you're going to get to, let's get started. So everyone knows why we are here today. We're here to celebrate Gary and his career with Team Horner. And Bill's going to take over, but I just wanted to say a few things here at the beginning. I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience with Gary and my journey with Gary. And it started about a year after he started work here, back in the old 810 building. Many of you are not familiar with that, but that was back in 1979. And at that time, Gary worked in the export warehouse. And basically his uniform every day was a pair of gator gym shorts, tube socks, and a t-shirt that said Horner Equipment of Florida on it. And it was a special time, and I think at that time there might have been about 15 or 16 employees in the entire company, and Ron Burr was one of them that we can see there. I don't know, I can't see everyone here. I know Danny Lockwood is here. He was one of the main bosses at that time. So anyways, it's great to see all of you back here again. As we transition to this new building, 5755, that didn't exist at the time. We transitioned to that. The business grew. Gary had new positions, new opportunities. Acquisitions came, and there was a lot of personal growth. He's had many different positions over the years, and he's grown tremendously in his roles. As a person and as a leader, he's always been practical, logical, fair, and honest. He leads by example and truly believes in the value of each individual as a person. He's an amazing person. He always does what he believes is right. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the popular decision, but he does what he believes is right. And as the president, he's been my sounding board for me. He's been a confidant. He's helped me from making some mistakes along the road here and there, and truly valued as an individual and as a professional. So how do you thank him for what he's done? How do I thank him? You really can't thank him for what he's done. How do you thank someone for devoting their entire life to the company? We do have some ways that we're going to honor him today, but before we do that, we're going to let Bill take over, and we'll do the award presentations after Bill's done. So I'd like to turn it over to Bill at this point.
Thank you, Michael. First of all, I believe that God works in all of our lives and in strange and mysterious ways. God brought Gary and myself together with a purpose in 1978. And here's a tip. When I decided to put meat on the bones of our mission statement, working together, growing together, winning together, I first went to Gary, and together we worked out what's on the little card that I hope is in your wallet. Because that really defines how we should behave with each other and with our customers and suppliers. Gary's speech last Saturday night was remarkable and similar to his 5 and 10 speech in 2018, and it captured every key tenet of our history together and the culture of Team Horner. So go home and watch it. It's only about 20 minutes. You can find it in the Christmas party video. It's very much worth it. And I've asked Edison to edit it out so that we can make it a separate piece for our history on our website. Last Saturday night, Gary's key thoughts had to do with the culture of opportunity, the power of optimism. There it is up there on the building, in case you missed it, okay? And continuous improvement. Ultimately, for me, trustworthiness is his key personal asset and has determined his success. He's a very successful guy because of trustworthiness. And I've been personally so lucky to have shared the last 42 years together. Gary is also lucky in many other ways. Karen and his family are outstanding citizens of the world, but his personal integrity virtually assures that kind of a result. You just can't hang around Gary and not be impressed by the integrity that he shows every single minute of his day. His contributions to Team Horner are legendary. Clear professional thinking, consistency, fairness, accuracy, resourcefulness, and then on top of all that, likability. Everybody likes Gary. Not everybody likes me, but everybody likes Gary. Here are a few ways his performance has impacted the growth of Team Horner. As the resident entrepreneur with a global vision, it was an absolute necessity that I have someone here in the home office, both highly competent and trustworthy. Gary filled that need beginning in 1990. As Gary climbed up the ever-growing ladder of success at Team Horner, he always focused on what has been right for the entire team, not himself. That's a key. Even now, he gave us over a year to prepare for the changes that we're now going through, and he's not just walking away, so thank you for that. We won't use the R word today, how's that? It's a pleasure for me to know that he's pursuing his dream, since he's allowed me to pursue my dreams for Team Horner for the past 42 years, especially since 1990. And where the corporate responsibilities for administration and money, if they weren't being competently managed, would not have allowed me to spend 200 days a year outside the United States, which is part of my track record. If Gary gets enough of the motorhome and wants to return to full duty, just like Paul Fulmer did, because I know Gary mentioned Paul Fulmer last Saturday night, he'll be welcomed back with the right role and at the right pace. So, Karen, Gary, family, go chase your bucket list, embrace your adventure, and keep on smiling no matter what the future brings. After all, our best is always yet to come. I know that many of you would like to say something, so now is the time. Who would like to come up first to say something? Tandy, come on up.
I have two here, Gary. One is from IT and one is from me. I'll start with the IT department. Gary, we want to thank you for all you've done, and we wish you lots of luck and fun. While riding the road fulfilling your dream, we're pretty sure you'll stop for ice cream. And though there is sure to be some debate, we're giving you a list of the best shops for each state. And a list of apps as well that are hard to beat when you crave that frozen creamery treat. We even threw in other travel apps for free, courtesy of your friends at Fort Lauderdale IT. So think of us now and then along the way, for we will carry you with us every day. Congratulations. And we even gave you a little gift card for ice cream with that. And then the other is from me, because you've been so much to me over the years, and I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to do it. An incredible 25 years have passed since I first sat down opposite of you, but I can still remember thinking after, that was the world's longest interview. In the beginning, there was a learning curve as we both learned what to expect, but the bumpy roads were traversed quite well, leading to a great level of trust and respect. You set me straight without putting me down. You gave me praise when it was earned. You were a leader in every sense of the word, and an endless source of lessons learned. You were always clear with your requests, Your follow-up skills are incomparable. Your steady guidance helped me complete even goals that seemed unconquerable. You have been my mentor, leader, and guide. You have stuck with me from beginning to end. But even more important than this, you have become a dearly loved friend. I wanted to let you know how much it's meant having you as my boss all these years. And while I'm so happy for your new journey, don't be mad if I shed a few tears. Thank you so much for everything you've been. You must be excited for the next phase of your life. You've done a great job and meant so much to us. Now enjoy your adventures with your beautiful wife. And as you drive off into the sunset, think back to where you came from, but keep looking ever forward to your new life, because the best is yet to come. Go Dog.
Who's next? Nobody? Ron Burr, come on up here, buddy. I think we better make it higher. You might tell them a little bit of your history as a part of whatever you say, because a lot of them don't know who you are.
I have no history here.
You're such a
I'm one of the people who don't like you, by the way. That's not true. I came to Horner Equipment in 1978. I started in August. Gary started in September. I was a music major, music teacher. I was going to teach band. Never did that. Gary was a PE major. He never taught PE, but I can tell you, he came into Horner as a jock. His gator shorts and all that kind of stuff. We had to know that he was a gator. And you see, as we worked in the warehouse over in the 810 building, we were a couple of the only employees pulling orders and unloading trucks. And Gary always had that special way of being competitive. If you know Gary, he's very competitive. And he always drove that into me, and it just bugged me to death. Why don't you quit being so competitive? And we were growing as friends, and we just shared a lot of times together. We'd ride to work together, but he was always competitive. It was always like when the trucks came in, well, how many hose boxes can you unload at a time? And how many can you unload? How many bags of sand? See, we didn't have a forklift. Bill was too cheap to buy a forklift back then, so we didn't have a forklift. We had to do everything by hand. I got to get my cheap shots when I can get them. So we did everything by hand, but our friendship grew through that time. And as we had our wolf sandwiches for lunch, wolf sandwiches were, Bill bought us lunch, thank you, Bill, and every day, but the deal was we ate our lunch on the loading dock, and we got back to work within 10 minutes because we wolfed our food down. Well, we grew as good friends. Our family got to know each other. We spent time outside the office. We had a good time together. We'd go to the Florida shows, and we'd have dinner afterwards, really nice dinners, thank you, Bill, and we'd leave really nice tips on the table. Thank you, Bill, for that too. But we just had a great time together. I can remember going to one of his houses. He always had me help him move. He moved a lot. I often wondered if he was under some kind of a witness protection plan, because he was always moving from different house to different house. And he always asked me to move. Well, about the third time he called me to ask him to move, I didn't pick up the phone anymore because I knew what he wanted, and that was that. But one of the houses that he moved to, he had to put a sprinkler system in. And he called me one day and said, "Hey, Ron, would you come over and help me dig the trenches?" I said, "Okay, no problem." So we dug the trenches, and we were working all day long, and he would keep asking me, "Ron, don't you need to take a bathroom break?" I said, "No, Gary, I'm good." Well, Gary would disappear about every 10 minutes into the house for about a half an hour because, and just leaving me out there to work. That was a great memory, though. I'll remember, I'll never forget that. We had a lot of other good memories. One of the best memories that I had was when Horner had a day cruise. You'll remember this. And the seas were so choppy that everybody was begging the captain of the boat not to go out, but he was going to go out. So we went out, and before we had gone out, a couple days before, Gary and his wife Karen and my wife, we all decided, well, we're going to rent a cabin inside the boat so we have a place to get away and just to relax during this long day cruise. And so Gary, if you know, is prone to seasickness and motion sickness, and if that chair was moving, he'd probably be sick right now because he can't handle any of that movement. So the whole day, We tried to get into the cabin, but him and his wife, now Karen was pregnant at the time, so she had a pretty good excuse, but Gary was in there, I don't know what but we could never use the room, so I really think you owe me for half of that room at this time. I think it was like $80, so if you want to write me a check for $40, that would be great. We had a lot of good times, a lot of good friendship. And as our friendship grew, I pulled this from the Old Testament in the Bible. It's from Proverbs 17, and it reads, "A friend is always loyal, and a brother is born to help in time of need." And that's been our friendship. If you don't know us, we call each other bro because we're like brothers to each other. We've been that way since we almost met in 1978. We've been that close. We've been through a lot of times together. A lot of good times, some difficult times, but we've always been there for each other. And the day that I left Horner in 1996, when I turned in my keys because they wouldn't let me keep the keys anymore, they said, "No, you're leaving, you can't have keys to the building anymore." My last stop was in Gary's office. And I really believe we probably played a last game of Nerf ball hoop that day. Because we always played at the end of the day, not on company time, by the way, Nerf ball hoop. We would shoot hoops. Because remember, Gary is very competitive. So we always had to play Nerf ball hoop. And I think we played that day. That was one of the most difficult times of my life, Gary, because I knew that I wasn't going to be at work with my brother anymore. And we were going to be separated. But, you know, our friendship has held true throughout the years. And we've always been there for each other. And for 42 years, I've counted you as my brother. And I know we're not calling this a retirement. I'm going to use the R word, semi-retirement, whatever you want to call it. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 says this, "For everything there is a season and a time for every activity under heaven." You're starting a new season in your life. And as you enjoy that new season, have fun. Enjoy your travel. Enjoy your family. You're a wonderful husband and father. And I just wish you the best. God bless you, man.
Hey, Ron, that was awesome. Thank you. No. It went on a little too long, if you don't mind. But he was always long-winded. That isn't why he left, though. He left for a higher calling. Who else would like to talk? Come on, somebody. Nobody? Mary? Now I have to lower it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I didn't prepare anything. I'm just gonna talk to you, Gary, from my heart. So when I look around here, I see 10, 20, 30, 40 plus years of friendship and camaraderie with teammates, and I've been here, well, it'll be 2 years in March. But I remember the first day I started. I've been an executive assistant for over 20 years. And when I showed up March 12th, 2019, you spent 8 hours with me, sitting next to me. The learning curve for an admin is like a learning curve for any new employee, but I knew that I had come somewhere different, and you spent time with me. So I can tell you this for sure, Gary, that it doesn't matter if we've known you for 42 years or 42 seconds. We all love you the same. And you make an impact on every life that you touch. And I'm very excited for you. I'm really bummed out for me. But I love it here, and I love our team, and that's largely because of you. And so I look forward to the times when you return so we can catch up and you can give us all your great adventures and take lots of pictures because we expect them. And I love you from the deepest part of my heart, and I will always be your assistant. Karen, you can call me anytime if you need a reservation or whatever you need. I'm here to help you both, and I love you dearly. And God bless you, Godspeed, and may you have all the blessings that you've ever desired and wanted in your life. Love you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Darren.
So this is definitely quite a testament. I mean, look around. It's really, really just special and awesome. Gary was very welcoming to me, joining the leadership team back 15 years ago. And I pulled out these levels of leadership, and I've told him this before, but I wanted to make sure everybody else got to hear it. And of course, the first team meeting after his announcement, I said, "We love you, Gary, and we still love you." But these 5 levels of leadership are really important to me because I think Gary has exhibited them all, but he's really at the pinnacle. So the first position is the rights position. You know, people follow you because they have to. You're now the boss. And then the second one is all about permission. You know, people follow you because they want to. And then the third one is about production and results. And people follow you because what you've done for the organization, and certainly look around, you've done quite a bit for the organization. And then the fourth is the one that you take the most pride in, is people development. And you know, as you look around here and you can see your mark on everyone today, it's certainly something to celebrate. But people follow you because of what you've done for them. And, you know, we've talked about that a good bit. But number 5 is the most important, and I think something that you've achieved, and for a lot of us to get to, is the pinnacle, and that's respect. And number 5 is people follow you because of who you are and what you represent. And you make that very clear all the time, especially to me. So congratulations, and enjoy your work of pause, we called it. Thank you very much, and we still love you.
Who's next? Danny. You can take that off.
Okay. Congratulations, Gary. And it's wonderful to see everybody here. And I had the privilege of watching that guy 42 years ago unloading the sand. And he's still wearing the same pant size. So it's very disappointing. But Gary and I, we shared a lot of mutual responsibilities. And we were just talking inside that over the 33 plus years we worked together, we may not have agreed, but we never argued. And when I heard these things about the wolf sandwiches, my story about competition is, Gary and I used to play racquetball. And we went over to play at the Supreme Courts one night, and he beat me 21-1, 21-2. And after that was over, he said, "When are we going to do it again?" So maybe in a couple years we can do it again, because over the next 35 years I never wanted to get embarrassed by him. But I'll end this with this. I looked up the word man in the dictionary today, and you know what it said? Gary. That's it. I love you, Gary.
Who's next? Mr. Tawney. Thank Jeff for driving over here this morning from Aquacow in St. Petersburg.
To that point, I mentioned to him earlier, this is the first time since March I've been out of St. Petersburg. I hadn't realized that, but I've been really a homebody, I guess. But I didn't have a prepared speech, Gary, so really all of the nice things that everybody's already said, ditto. No, but I do mean that. But from a personal point of view, I think it's been 28 years, and when I first was brought onto the VP group, I wasn't a business guy. I was a heat pump guy. That's what I knew: building heat pumps, fixing heat pumps, putting heat pumps in, heat pumps, heat pumps, heat pumps. All of a sudden, I'm on this VP group, and I'm being looked at that I'm going to be the guy that's partially responsible for running this business, and I didn't have that level of experience, and I certainly didn't have that level of confidence. So I had to look to somebody, especially on that VP team, as to, okay, where's my lead? Who's the guy I want to be like on that group? And that was Gary. And his professionalism, his approach to dealing with Bill at times was an extremely key resource to me. What do you think, Gary? Should I say this? I wouldn't say that. But the biggest thing that's characterized it over the 28 years is just the great times that we've had working together and the success that we've collectively have been able to enjoy. And obviously, Gary's been a big part of that. So congratulations on a great career. I know it's not over, but so far, thanks. We love you.
Anyone else? Come on up, Dave.
Well, you've received a lot of praise today from a lot of the management team and a lot of the leadership team. But I want you to know, that even though I'm not part of the leadership team yet, part of the management team yet, I strive every day to get to that level. And the only way that I can get there is by following your example. Before I came to Team Horner, I worked in movie theaters, restaurants, warehouses, jobs that helped me pay the bills. And then I came here to this extraordinary organization and learned how to become an employee as part of a great team. This company has helped me learn how to provide for my family, be a better man to my husband, be a better father to my son. And I'm only able to do that by the transparency you've provided, by the way you've shown everyone here what it means to stand up and be responsible and be part of a team and grow. None of that was part of me before I came here. So I wanted to tell you that your effect on this company is great from the top to the bottom. I'm just a humble servant working here, and I never want to leave because of the example that you've provided. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Who's next? Norman.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who don't know, I'm an old soul, basically. Started back with Horner, I think back in the late 80s. When I first started, as a young man, you're always looking for direction, looking for examples. And I remember, there was Romber, there was Redmond, there was my affectionate, now I call him Mr. C. As you try to establish yourself and try to find your way, you always look to people who set the right example, people who you say, when you, like a lot of us have said, as you find your path, or you try to find your way through the unknown, you look to those who have gone before you. And I saw that immediately with Mr. C. Along the way, we've spent a lot of time together. He's never been my immediate supervisor or my boss. I mean, when you really look at it in the perspective, he is one of the, VPs, so he is the boss. But I've always gone to him whenever I lose my path or whenever I need the straight and narrow. He would always point me in the right direction. We spent a lot of one-on-one together. A lot of it, some of it was personal. I think most of it was personal. Some of it was business, but I rarely go to him with business stuff because the example that he set and the other leaders, I knew what the direction I should take. But a lot of the personal stuff, you need that as a young man growing up. What I'd like to say to the rest of us listening, I want to add my appreciation for all the stuff that I've seen, the example that Gary has set. But, we all have to understand that there are others looking at us. And we all have to understand that our life and our example should be a testament of who we are, because people are always looking for stuff to build from, to grow from. Over the years, it's been great. I remember when Mr. C was the customer service manager, and he had this big plaque in his office. And the gist of it was, always autograph your work with excellence, okay? So your work pretty much tells who you are. And I took that from the first time I saw it, to make sure whatever I did, it represented me as a person. So I want to take a little thing from him, and I think he still has it in his office because it moves with him when he moves, is that whatever you do as an example is you, so always autograph your work with excellence. I want to share my time with Mr. C and the group and say best wishes. I know, like you said, we're not going to say the R word because it's not going to be the same around here without you. But I have a direct line to you, so whenever I need you, I know I can find you. And for the rest of us to understand that the rest of those who are here, I always say when one person leaves, the work still must go on, so we have to hold the fort down. So whatever happens, it's a vacation, if it's sickness, the thing that I love about this company is that no matter what the strive or matter what the hardship, we all pull together. And I think that's the example that we need to continue to do, to understand that in this day and age, in this life, that we all need each other. And no, they're talking about social distancing and all that stuff, but we're social beings. We're created to be social. That's, you rarely find a guy, once in a while you find a guy who just goes up in the mountain and live by himself and just get off the grid and just do whatever he wants. But mostly we're social beings. So let's remember that we all need each other. We all need to continue to love each other. And Mr. C, best wishes, all the best in the years ahead. And I know that whenever I need you, we can always reach out to you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Norman. Who would be next, if anybody? Vivian, come on up here, baby.
Mr. C, this is totally off the cuff, so I'm going to speak right from the heart. Vivian Kersey, I'm the credit and collection manager for all the branches. When I first started here 19 years ago on December 3rd, I interviewed with Gary extensively. I actually almost felt when I was asked how my interview went by people that I knew, I actually told them, I think I'm actually applying for the FBI or the CIA because the questions and, the time that he spends with me is really just something I've never done before. So finally, he told me I was running neck and neck with somebody else, and I won. I have to say, for the first time that I was here, the first week, I remember Bill coming up to me, holding me by the shoulders and saying, "Oh my God, you're putting everybody on hold." Remember that? And Gary actually took me in, and he basically Hornerized me, started to explain to me the process of who the customers were and what Horner was all about and how we dealt with customers. The one thing that some of you may not know is that there's a great humorous side of Gary. He's actually walked around with his red nose on, okay? And We've joked around with him several times. We once gave him boxer shorts all full of Santas, because it was always a joke, or we would get him a tie of some sort. And he was always fun enough to put them on. He actually did a cartwheel on the second floor, because like you said, Ron, he's always fit. So it was always a pleasure. And when there were times that Gary didn't come upstairs because he had to attend other meetings, he was actually missed, and we all gave him a hard time. So I just want you to know, you will be missed. Darren has got some big shoes to fill. So on the other hand, we hope that yesterday we sent you off with all the things that you needed for your happy trails. And I just want everybody to know, I gave him a gift yesterday, and the last one said, and the truth will be told, I sleep around. That'll be for that. So thank you, Gary, for always being there. You've always been a great mentor, and you've led me to be able to leave the department. And obviously our numbers and everything show for it, and our growth as well. So you have been the longest man in my life. That's all I could say. Thank
you. That's funny, Viv. Who else would like to say something? Don't worry, the food's not getting cold. The sun is keeping it warm. Anybody else? Yes? No? Okay, come on up, Nicole.
Hello, my name's Nicole Buck. I've been here for 23 years. I work in accounting. I'm the accounting analyst. And I met Mr. C 23 years ago. And I want to say that after my first year here, we used to do a thing called a 360 review. And I said that it was a question, where do you see yourself in the future with Horner or something like that? And I said, I want Mr. C's seat when he retires. Well, you're not retiring, so I don't want your seat if that means that you'll stay away. So thank you so much for leading and guiding and motivating me to be everything that I'm growing to be. I'm still growing. You're not going to be here daily, but I just want you to know that you have truly instilled in me to want to be and do the best that I can be as a mom, as a family member, as a person. I remember when I first wanted my first house, I came to you and you took me to lunch and you said, Nicole, well, why do you want this house? And I didn't have the answer then, but the answer is I just want to set that example and be a leader for my family, for people to just want to do and grow better in life. And I thank you so much for teaching me that and helping me with everything that you have done. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Who else? Are we finished with that? I guess we are. So Gary, come on up. So Mike.
Okay, so there are a couple of things that some of you may or may not know, but at the holiday party, we renamed the team meeting room to the Gary Chisling team meeting room, And there's going to be a plaque that hangs outside of that, and that's in appreciation for everything Gary's done in exemplifying the team. But one of the things that that you don't know about is that we had talked and said, that's just not enough, right? And so Bill and I were sitting there and we're thinking and saying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And so what we've decided to do is we're creating a Team Horner Hall of Fame, okay? And if both of you will walk over there to the you can save this. And I'll let Bill unveil that with you. But Gary, you are the first inductee into the Team Horner Hall of Fame, and our plan is to build on it as we go. But we'd just like to congratulate you and thank you for everything you've done, and welcome to the first inaugural member as the Team Horner Hall of Fame.
So in addition to that, we have a little fun thing because we know that Gary and Karen are planning on visiting the national parks just like Paul Fulmer did. Well, Paul Fulmer went in one of these, so I thought it was appropriate that we gave Gary and Karen the same thing. One of those VW buses for camping. Because when you're out in those parks, sometimes, the ice cream stores might be, hours away. So we have a special device for Gary that will allow him to make ice cream no matter where he is. Gary?
It says, turn and churn. Travel ice cream maker. Thank
you. So you attach it to your hubcap, and then it turns when the wheels are turning, and that.
I missed that part.
Yeah. You see it.
I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
I was reading it over here.
And then while you have that other plaque there, you get this one to take home with you, which is the same.
Okay. So, woof. Feel like Saturday night again. This is not going to be like Saturday night, and I didn't know what to expect today. Mike, all I knew is we were having a luncheon. Karen kept asking me, what are we doing? I said, I have no idea. I just know I'm supposed to be there at noon. We're having a luncheon. This is way to be too much attention for somebody in particular who's not retiring. I mean, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like when I do retire. But Mike came to me about 3 weeks ago and asked me to write 3 paragraphs and about my Team Horner journey. And I said, I can't do that in 3 paragraphs. I said, there's no way. So he gave me a little leeway. He said, well, you can make it a page. I said, okay, but it would be a lot easier if I knew what I was writing for, and I know you don't want to tell me. Then I asked him, can it be edited once we find out what it's for? And his immediate response was no. So I had to make sure whatever I was writing, at least thinking it was going to be permanent. The reality of all this recognition, it truly has not set in since the Saturday party. But I think everybody knows by now that this decision was made based on the simple notion that tomorrow is never promised. I'm not retiring. I want to remind you of that again. I'm not going off into the sunset. Somebody said, oh, wait a minute, maybe we are going off into the sunset. I will be around. I'll still have work that'll go with me, some that I do here, some that I do on the road. So I'll be back. And come January 1, although at least or January 2nd, whatever the first work day is after the year, I don't plan to be here. I do plan to be here sometime that week because I still have some things I'd like to take care of. None of them will be to say a final goodbye because that's not what it is. You guys are special to me, all of you. It's been an amazing 42 years, and as in the words of Dr. Bill Kent, the best is yet to come. Thank you.